Welcome back. The title of this episode is She Was Raising Children While She Was Wounded Herself. Healing does not begin when we are strong, it begins when something inside of you learn to endure. Many women were taught without words that their value was in what they could carry. So they became strong. They became responsible. They became the one others depended on. But strength, in many cases, was not safety, it was adaptation. It was the nervous system learning, I will hold everything together, even if no one holds me. So let me share a story about a woman who was wounded in the cycle. There was a woman who learned very early that love did not come freely. It came with effort, with performance, with being good, with not being too much. So, as a child, she didn't have the words for it, but she felt it. There was silence when she needed comfort. There was absence when she needed guidance. There was emotional distance that made her question, am I too much or not enough? That question, let us explore it. Am I too much or not enough? That doesn't come from nowhere. It is not a personality flaw. It is not insecurity for no reason. It is the echo of emotional distance, especially when that distance comes from somewhere, or that emotional distance come from someone who was supposed to feel safe. What that moment really does to her when someone experiences emotional distance, especially from a caregiver or partner, the nervous system doesn't interpret it as they're just unavailable. It interprets it as something is wrong. Something is missing. And it might be me. So the mind tries to solve that unsolvable by splitting into two possibilities. The first possibility, I'm too much. My needs are overwhelming. My emotions are a burden. I should shrink, quiet down, need less. Number two, I'm not enough. I'm not lovable as I am. I need to do more, be better, prove my worth. If I were different, they would stay, love me, and choose me. The truth beneath the question, that question is not really asking, who am I? It is asking, what do I need to become so that I don't lose connection? Because somewhere along the way, she learned connection requires adjustment. Love requires editing. When presence is inconsistent, the body learns to scan for signs of disconnection. To silence energy, to perform closeness instead of feeling it, to overanalyze tone. And over time, she stops asking, am I safe to be myself? And start asking, which version of me will be accepted right now? The deeper wound. The deeper wound is the wound is not just that someone was distant. The wound is she was left alone with the meaning of that distance. No explanation, no repair, no reassurance. So her mind was filled in the blank. It must be me. She was never too much. She was expressing unmet need in an environment that could not respond. And so she was never not enough. She was simply asking to be met by someone who did not know how. So she was simply asking to be met by someone who did not know how. And because of this emotional distance, she adapted. She became the strong one. She became the responsible one, the one who did not need anything. Not because she didn't have needs, but because no one was meeting them. As she grew older, something inside of her stayed open. A quiet longing, a hope that somewhere someone would finally see her. So when she met people, especially men, she didn't just meet them from the present. She met them from the past. From the part of her that was still waiting, still hoping, still trying to be chosen. And when someone gave her attention, even if it was inconsistent, even if it was unstable, even if it didn't feel fully safe. It felt like something, and something felt better than nothing. Something felt better than nothing. So she would hold on, not because she didn't see truth, but because she felt something deeper. What if this is as close as I'll ever get to being loved? This question is about hope shrinking to fit pain. So what she's really feeling, she is not asking because she believes this is love. She's asking because this is the closest thing to connection she's experienced. And losing even this feels like losing everything. So her nervous system makes a quiet, devastating adjustment. Maybe I need to accept less so I don't end up with nothing. This question is rooted in a deeper fear. What if I'm only lovable in fragments? So she begins to tolerate inconsistency, emotional unavailability, moments of closeness followed by distance, because those moments feel like proof. See, love exists. I just have to hold on long enough to keep it. That question carries grief most people don't see. Grief that I've already stretched myself so far. I've already tried so hard. What if this is the best I can get? It is just the fear, or it is just not the fear of losing them. It's fear of facing, what if I leave and there's nothing better waiting? So she stayed longer than she should have, gave more than she had, ignored what didn't feel right. And every time it ended, it confirmed something painful. Maybe I'm still not enough. So this woman, she enters into motherhood. She becomes a mother. Now her life wasn't just about her anymore. She had children to raise, bills to pay, responsibilities that did not pause. So she did what she always knew how to do. She survived. She worked multiple jobs. She showed up. She made sure her children had what they needed. But from the outside, she looked strong. But inside, she was still carrying the same unmet needs, the same exhaustion, the same emotional emptiness she had never faced. She loved her children. She loved her children deeply. There was never a question about that. But love and emotional presence are not the same thing. I want you to hear me again. Love and emotional presence are not the same thing. She did not know how to sit with emotions because no one had ever sat with her. So when her children needed comfort, emotional understanding, connection, her body didn't know what to do. Not because she didn't care, but because you cannot model what you have never experienced. Isn't a limitation. It isn't an explanation. And if you understand it correctly, it becomes a doorway to healing. So what does this really mean? We don't just learn love with our minds. We learn it through experience, repetition, and embodiment. So if she never experienced consistent emotional presence, safe repair after conflict, being chosen without proving herself, then her nervous system has no reference point for this is what healthy love feels like. So she doesn't fail at love. She recreates what is familiar. She isn't choosing dysfunction. She's choosing from what she knows. We don't model what is healthy. We model what is familiar. Even if familiarity hurts. So how does this show up in her life? Because she had no lived blueprint of safe love, she may feel drawn to emotionally unavailable people, confuse intensity with connection, overgive to maintain closeness, stay longer than is healthy because this feels normal. And when something healthy does show up, it may feel unfamiliar, boring, unsafe in a different way because her body isn't used to peace. So the cycle continues quietly. Her children learned love is present but distant. Care is there, but connection is inconsistent. And without anyone naming it, the pattern begins to pass on. The cycle continues. So the truth that most people miss in this situation here, from the outside, people might say she made bad choices. She should have done better. But what they don't see is this. She was building a life while still searching for the love she never received. She was building a life while searching for the love she never received. She wasn't just raising children. She was raising children while carrying her own unhealed child, while trying to survive, while trying to be loved. And at that same time, when that mother began to work on her unhealed wound, there is a turning point. Everything begins to shift. Not when she becomes perfect, not when her life suddenly gets easier, but when she sees it. When she realizes this isn't random, this isn't because I'm broken, this is a pattern that I learned. And for the first time, instead of her judging herself, she understands. She understands herself. And in that moment, something softens. Because now, she is no longer trying to escape the wound. She is turning towards it. And that is where healing begins. She wasn't choosing wrong. She was choosing from what she had been taught love feels like. Many women were taught without words that their value was in what they could carry. This teaching didn't always come with instructions. No one had to say, your worth is in your sacrifice. It was shown, modeled, repeated, lived in front of them. So a girl watches a mother who never rests, a woman who carries everyone needs, someone who gives without being poured into. So she notices. No one is asking her how she feels. No one is holding her. No one is saying, that's too much for you. But she is praised when she helps, endures, don't complain, keep going. So the nervous system learns something powerful. This is how I became valuable. Not by being, but by carrying. Not by being, but by carrying. This is important. This is not just belief. This is about embodying identity. The body learns rest equals unsafe or unproductive. Needs equals inconvenience. Boundaries equal rejection, risk. Receiving equals unfamiliar. And most importantly, if I stop carrying, I'll lose my value. So, how does this show up in adult life? This pattern doesn't disappear, it evolves. It shows up in relationships as overgiving, staying too long, trying to fix people, feeling responsible for other people's emotions. In self-relationships, it shows up as ignoring exhaustion, pushing through pain, feeling guilty for resting, not knowing what you need. And in identity, it shows up as I'm the strong one. I handle everything. I'll be okay. But underneath that is often this truth: no one ever asked me what it cost. So the hidden cost of carrying all of that, it becomes chronic emotional exhaustion, nervous system dysregulation, and disconnection from self, difficulty receiving love. Because if your value is in carrying, being cared from, being cared for, can feel unnatural. Being supported can feel uncomfortable. Not because you don't want it, but because your system does not recognize it. Your system does not recognize it. So why does this, for some women, culturally, is amplified? For some women, quote, the strong Black woman identity isn't just personal, it's historical. Strength became survival across generations. Endurance was necessary. Carrying was required. But what began as survival can become identity. And identity can become expectations. So even when a woman wants to soften, something inside of her says, I can't afford to. I can't afford to. So when the woman begins to heal, what does this look like in this aspect? She stops rejecting strength and she begins to redefine it. Because true strength is not how much I can carry. It becomes how connected can I stay to myself. Healing begins when you notice what you are carrying. You question it as if it's yours. You allow yourself to put things down. And this is not easy. Because when you stop carrying, you may feel guilty. You may feel fear. You may feel unfamiliar emptiness. That empty space. But let me say that emptiness is not lack. It is space. Space where you begin to meet yourself. Emptiness is the space where you begin to meet yourself. And then there's a shift that happens from I am valuable because I carry everything too. So it shifts from I am valuable because I exist. It shifts from I have to hold everything together to I am allowed to be held to. It shifts from strength, meaning endurance, to strength means I don't abandon myself anymore. So I want you to close your eyes and think about this. I was not taught my worth through words. I was taught it through what I was expected to carry. And healing began the moment I questioned whether all of this was mine. Thank you so much. I appreciate you staying with me for this period of time. I would like for you to like, subscribe, and share this video with many women, many mothers who have wounds and who are raising their children. Thank you so much.